This week on Unscripted, we have news on some changes that were made to Raw and SmackDown this past week. TLC curse has hit again. Plus, Vince McMahon's return date has been set for Monday Night Raw, and we, along with others, are just so excited. And Raw and SmackDown tapings coming next week. This and really not much more this week on the future number one podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Unscripted. What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here again for episode 49 of Unscripted for your December 15, 2018. As you see, I do have a more bare overlay than I do for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Hopefully, eventually, we'll have some things to add there, like maybe sponsorships down the line, maybe other things like Podbean and anything else for like podcasts and everything. But for now, this is a YouTube-only show. Maybe we can upload it to YouTube. I mean, up to Twitch as well, but I don't know, that's for gaming more than anything for me. As we do every week, Raw, SmackDown, NXT Overviews, and Raw, and SmackDown. And I feel really bad for SmackDown, because SmackDown has been putting on some decent, good shows, even though this week was a step down from the last 2 weeks. But Raw, the way SmackDown is booked and everything else, and the fact that SmackDown's been putting on good shows but has not beat Raw in the ratings, is quite simply amazing how WWE has taken what should be a show like SmackDown beating Raw, and because of Raw is booked so badly, you're alienating your fans to be like, well, Raw sucks, SmackDown probably sucks too, I'm not going to watch SmackDown, so off my merry way. And of course, what do we have on Monday Night Raw? And Brian Zane did put it the best with his Who Wore It Better. Monday Night Raw started off the show with Seth Rollins coming out and pinning all the blame, putting out, like, WWE admitting to all the faults, and pointing all the blame to Baron Corbin, who was playing the Vince McMahon role in this entire thing. Brian Zane, of course, put it well when he said, just because you admit to the problems doesn't mean you're fixing them. Just going out there and saying, yeah, the ratings suck, the ratings are down, fan morale is down, the revival are getting buried, same shit, different episode, and you keep doing over and over and over again, what do you fucking expect? It's the definition of fucking insanity. You do the same thing over and over again. You do the same thing over and over again with the same results, you're going to get nothing. But it's gonna do this, like, same verse as the first, nothing changes. It's just ridiculous that WWE would go out there and they would just be like, yeah, the ratings suck, the ratings are down, the fans suck, the fan morale is down, people are coming to the shows. You can see a great match between like Charlotte Flair and Asuka on Tuesday. But there were pictures floating around that halfway through SmackDown, half the crowd was gone. There was no crowd. There was nobody there. So pretty much everybody who was watching SmackDown, if there was enough there, were on hard camera side and around the first set of... It's just bad. WWE has got to get the pen away from Vince McMahon. I did have a nice little... Like, me and WrestleHub, thank you. Shout out to WrestleHub for subbing to me and hitting me with some comments last week. We did have a nice little conversation on my comments, and yes, I do read every single comment I get, unless it runs into the spam folder, which I try to get those as fast as I can. But they agreed, and it's time to get the pen away from Vince McMahon. And Jimmy Jacobs, former writer for WWE, we'll talk about what he had to say later on, came out and defended WWE booking about how a 3-hour show is hard to write, which I'm just going to say is bullshit, and we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about why I think it's bullshit later. But there are people coming out and saying that this episode of Monday Night Raw was a step in the right direction, because you had a good opening segment, which bullshit. It was WWE 101 when things start taking a nosedive. Whoever the authority figure is, and I said this, I believe, on Monday. If Kurt Angle was in Baron Corbin's position and this was happening on Kurt Angle's watch, it wouldn't have been Seth Rollins. It would have been Drew McIntyre or Bobby Lashley with Leo Rush, or somebody coming out as a heel and saying, the ratings are down, fans aren't here anymore, it's your fault, Kurt Angle, it's your fault. That's exactly what they would do. So anybody saying this was a great segment, you are out of your motherfucking mind. And I also find it funny how you had the Revival mentioned by Seth Rollins, but yet the Revival didn't wrestle on Monday. Where were the Revival? Why were they not put in a tag team match, to a legit tag team match, even after what Seth Rollins was said? Yes, Seth Rollins said something about the Revival being put in Lucha House Party rules. The Revival did respond. One said, Seth's a good guy, and I think it was Scott Dawson, and his partner is like, Seth knows his wrestling, which, yes, Seth Rollins knows his wrestling. He is one of those good guys. But it still doesn't fix the problem. You had a okay for opening segment and a decent main event. That doesn't make a great show. That doesn't make a good show. It's just like Backlash. Backlash had one good match. Seth Rollins versus The Miz, which, man, how The Miz has fallen from being in a Continental Championship contender and putting on a great match at WrestleMania and a great match at Backlash. The only match at Backlash that actually mattered to what he's doing now, but we'll get to that in a second. But, like, Backlash, you had Seth Rollins versus The Miz in a great Intercontinental title match, and then right after that, the show just continued to, it didn't just slowly decline, it just took a nosedive and was shit from then on out. It's still the only pay-per-view this year where you saw fans during the show, during the main event, walking out and chance to beat the traffic. I honestly think that is still the worst pay-per-view of the year. And just because Seth Rollins and Miz put on a main roster, like a main roster match to a candidate, I'm just gonna say it, does not mean Backlash was a good show. Was a passable show. It wasn't. 1 to 2 matches or 1 to 2 segments, depending on if you're on pay-per-view or if you're on TV, does not make a great show or a good show or step in the right direction. The opening segment we've seen countless times. John Cena's been in. John Cena did this, I believe, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when he came out and blasted. CM Punk's done that too when he was there. The whole pipe bomb thing. It's the same thing. You have a babyface or someone the fans care about come out and list off the problems that's going on with Raw or SmackDown, depending on what show they are on. It's like just sitting there and saying, okay, this is the problem. Here's all the problems. We're admitting to them. We're going to do nothing about it. That's exactly what it is. And unfortunately, until Vince McMahon takes the pen away, nothing's going to change. Until someone says, I have a pen in my hand, even though you can't see it, I have a pen in my hand. Until you say this pen and you take it away from Vince McMahon and just have him be what he says he's going to be in the XFL, just the guy who signs the paychecks, which he needs to just be that, nothing is going to change, and it's not going to matter. We still have, and you know what sucks? 5 times this year, 3 in a row, by the way, 3 in a row, but 5 times this year now. In 1 year. They didn't have this problem back in the Monday Night War or 96, 97, when they were getting, like, there's 82 weeks in a row. They never hit this low. They never hit this low. So they were 2.19 rating, 2.19, and SmackDown didn't even hit a 2. So it's just sad. But having a half-assed TLC match, which wouldn't even be in the top 5 TLC matches of all time, and they put that main event card there. And here's the sad part: I don't have the ratings in my notes because I didn't get them this time. But I remember the third hour was so close to under 2, it wasn't even funny. It's at like 2.01 something, like 2.109 or something like that. It was so close that by the time we get to the Royal Rumble, if they don't fix this, we're going to be seeing this third hour probably only watched by me, JD, Solid Monster, Cultaholic, and anybody who does content on YouTube for this, and that's not many. The wrestling community, the podcast and stuff for wrestling on YouTube is actually not that big if you think about it. There are those who are good, those who are mediocre, and then there's people who are just starting out. But by the time we get to the Rumble, we could see almost nothing for the third hour. And they put a TLC match on, hoping that rating would not fall as bad as it did. The first hour, actually, and this is the thing, the first hour this week beat last week's first hour, but it was at 2.3. But then the second hour was at 2.1, and then the third hour was at 2.09 or something. It was like, oh my, wow. There's nothing else really, and then it's like you have Nia Jax putting on a shitty-ass promo, sitting there like, my title! Like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's like WWE put, and this is, and I know he's off, Joe's off getting his leukemia dealt with, not trying to bash Joe Onawale at all, but this is WWE's own fault for 4 years putting all of their eggs for one guy. This is what happens. This is what happens when you have one guy. This time Roman Reigns, one guy. I mean, John Cena, yes, John Cena was shoved down our throats. But WWE didn't bury Edge. WWE didn't bury Randy Orton. WWE didn't bury Batista. Out of the four main guys in the early mid-2000s that held WWE up were Edge, Randy Orton, Batista, and John Cena. Now, WWE is like, we have Seth Rollins, which everyone really wants to care about. And we're talking about Raw now because we do have a brand split again. But for Raw, for the last 2.5 years, or about 2 years, 2.5 years, has just been Roman. Fuck everybody else. Fuck everybody else. Oh, Roman doesn't have a heel to face. Let's give him Braun Strowman. Let's turn Braun Strowman heel. Even though Braun Strowman was one of the more over guys on WWE television. But let's turn him heel. Oh, Seth Rollins is becoming one of the hottest baby faces in the company. Oh, let's put the Shield back together so his fire, the heat and fire that he has, can be sent to Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns can become the more over baby face that they want, because all they wanted to do is get Roman over. And with burying every single person on the main roster for Monday Night Raw, not named Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman until Braun Strowman turned heel, when WWE, and I can tell this and everyone else can tell this, Vince McMahon never thought this would happen, where Roman would not be on main roster TV at this point in the game. But Mother Nature sent, Father Time, Mother Nature, whatever, got involved. And what happened? Roman is out with leukemia. I hope him nothing but the best to get back to full health. But this is just one of those things that it was a natural disaster that WWE could not control. But they are now at a point where they have nobody. Even if Brock Lesnar loses when Brock Lesnar should lose the Universal Championship either at the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, that title means nothing. Even when Roman had it, that title meant nothing. That title should be thrown out and they start a new title that Brock never touches. Just Brock Lesnar can walk in the UFC 285, to whatever they're at. Well, I don't even know what the number they're at, in March, and go and fight there. And have the Universal Championship with him. Do you know what MMA fans are going to look at that? It's like, why is this legit badass holding that fake title? Why is this legit badass holding that piece of shit toy? Nobody cares about that Universal Championship. Having Brock Lesnar, the only person who wants to see Brock Lesnar walk into UFC with that Universal title on his shoulder is Vince McMahon. That is it. Please. Daniel Cormier or whoever's going to face Brock Lesnar is probably going to either win or lose. Don't give a shit. Nobody cares about the Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar could lose it to Seth Rollins. Brock Lesnar could lose it to Drew McIntyre. Brock Lesnar could lose it to anybody, and it won't mean anything. Beating Brock Lesnar does not have the same appeal as it had when he returned in 2012. It doesn't have the same appeal as it had because you had Roman Reigns beat him in one of the most anticlimactic matches ever. That SummerSlam main event was trash, and we all know it. But it got the title on Raw. And then Roman had to go away, and what did they do? They gave it back to Brock Lesnar. That right there, Crown Jewel, that's another thing right there. I know I'm getting off topic here, but that's another thing. When Crown Jewel happened and they gave the title back to Brock Lesnar, I don't care what's wrong with Braun Strowman, what happened with Braun Strowman, why Braun Strowman has not been Universal Champion. Giving the title back to Brock Lesnar shits on every person who is not named Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar. That says, fuck you to Seth Rollins, fuck you to Dean Ambrose, fuck you to Finn Balor, fuck you to Drew McIntyre, fuck you to every person, every male superstar on that Raw roster. You're pretty much telling them, go fuck you, we don't trust you, we have no faith in you. And it's pathetic. If you wanted to put Drew McIntyre, this is what I was hoping they would do, because they wanted to try and keep it a triple threat match, which quite honestly, a Brock Lesnar match as a multi-man match is better than a singles match because he, outside of Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, because he actually lets them work. But if you would have put Drew McIntyre in there, you could have had Braun Strowman take Brock Lesnar, put him through a table, and then have Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman battle for the majority of the match, and then Claymore kick to Braun Strowman, 1, 2, 3, and we have Drew McIntyre elevated to Universal Champion. Now, if they want to save that for WrestleMania, that would be great. I highly doubt that. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's definitely not something any of us are going to care about. So yes, again, Monday Night Raw this week had two things that people really even said was great, which they weren't. The opening segment and the closing segment. Everything else, even if the first segment was like a 5-star segment and the last match, the main event was a 5-star match, still doesn't make Raw a good show. You still have 2.5 hours at least, 2 hours and 15 minutes at least of content in between those two events that nobody cared about. And that was Monday Night Raw. SmackDown Live, on the other hand, this week's SmackDown Live I wasn't a fan of. I mean, we had the great Daniel Bryan promo. We had Mustafa Ali versus Daniel Bryan, which felt like it was a rush job. I wish they would have cut out the Miz segment. If you would have cut out the Miz and Shane McMahon's entire segment, and the fact that the Miz has lessened himself to be in this entire this entire feud or whatever they're going to do with him and Shane McMahon to try and get sympathy and try and turn Miz babyface and turn Shane McMahon heel. If you would have cut that out, even the tag team match after, which I never want to see Shane McMahon wrestle again. His work punches are so trash. Oh my god, his work punches are so bad. I could probably throw better work punches than Shane McMahon. But if you would have cut that entire segment out, you probably could have got a good, more flushed out Mustafa Ali versus Daniel Bryan match. You had that, and this is like SmackDown felt a little bit like Raw this week. You had the opening segment and match, and then you had the ending, the main event. Everything else in between just felt flat and didn't need to be there. The rap battle was trash. Like I say, Shamey, really? I mean, the Usos went there, they destroyed them. What do you expect? You had the Miz segment. You had a tag team match, a meaningless tag team match with two meaningless feuds that nobody cares about. I still want to know why Shinsuke Nakamura is wearing an entire bodysuit. I've been looking for that, and I still can't find out why he went from taking his jacket off to keeping his jacket on. Just looks weird. And then you had the main event, which was a WrestleMania rematch, in which Charlotte Flair and Asuka battled to a DQ because Charlotte brought out the kendo stick. All three women attacked each other with kendo sticks, and Charlotte and Asuka stood tall. NXT, of course, we had EC3 versus Bobby Fish, with EC3 picking up the win, and then Heavy Machinery getting involved to help save EC3. Kyle O'Reilly got taken out with a 1%er, then the Caterpillar, as they call it, not the worm, the Caterpillar, even though it's the same thing, elbow drop. And the main event, which was awesome. We had Tyler Breeze versus Ricochet for the North American Championship. There was some other good stuff too. We do have some news on a tag team that took a tag team match, as it was the final appearance of one member of that tag team match. We will talk about that later in the show. And it kind of feels like, yeah, I can see both of them actually being gone in no time. But if you want to see an underutilized talent on main roster TV show you what he can do, you need to check out Ricochet versus Tyler Breeze. And I'm hoping that we can, like, after Tommaso Ciampa, when Tommaso Ciampa loses the title, which eventually he will, say he loses it to Johnny Gargano, I'm hoping in the next set of tapings after that, we could have maybe an NXT Championship Open challenge like we did for this, in which a main roster talent like a Sami Zayn, if Sami Zayn's back, or Kevin Owens if Kevin Owens comes back, or I don't know, Apollo Crews, or somebody like when Johnny Cena comes back and challenges him, only this time, and then so on and so forth. Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, and everyone else. I would just love to see these open challenges. Some people say they're a weak excuse for, like a weak creative excuse for getting the title defended. I don't see it that way. If it's a match that lasts and lets both guys show what they can do, whether the person, because you know most likely in the most open challenges the champion's going to retain. That's not the thing. It's the person who answers the challenge hopefully gets to go out and show what they can do. That's what Sami Zayn was introduced to the main roster with John Cena. John Cena's first U.S. Open Challenge, which started all these open challenges mostly in this modern era, highlighted what most guys can do. Neville, Cesaro, Tyson Kidd, I think, took one of those before he got injured. Sami Zayn, who worked that match with a torn rotator cuff, which shows you how much he's worth. I like to see these, and I hope we can see more of them. Not every single episode, but like one taping an episode. Maybe the Women's Championship, we get to see Bayley come down and have a match. Sasha Banks come down and have a match. Show you what she can do. Ruby Riott, Naomi, Asuka comes down because she's undefeated now. Not undefeated anymore, but so on and so forth. It would be something great because you get to see talent that you don't really get to see on the main roster come down and be used. Maybe Eric Young comes down and challenges for the North American Championship. Maybe Killian Dane. Alexander Wolf, just one of those guys that he's going to be good for Sanity, but when Sanity eventually goes their separate ways, which eventually they probably will, because you know how WWE likes to break up tag teams that isn't the Usos or the New Day or the Bar so far, but the Bar I expect to break up eventually. But yes, one of the best main events, and it was a reminder of who Tyler Breeze was and who Tyler Breeze could be if he was used on the main roster. As I was saying, it's just a reminder of what Tyler Breeze can do, and WWE really needs to actually do what's right for Tyler Breeze. Hopefully we can have that in the future. But that was Raw, Smackdown, and NXT. Let's move on here to what happened in news this week, as much as I could find, which really, because we are getting closer to the end of the year, news is not going to be as high, even though it should be, with the likes of Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, Young Bucks, and Adam Page all coming close to having their contracts up. I do not have the story, but I do know that Cody Rhodes did, this is a side note, that Cody Rhodes did turn down an offer from WWE weeks ago, so we do not expect him to go anywhere near that. He is currently battling a final battle for the Ring of Honor Championship. As I'm recording this, you'll be able to see this tomorrow on Saturday, but I'm recording this right now, so I won't have final battle results or anything talking about that. Let's talk about some changes that were made to Monday Night Raw because of illness. As I said, the TLC curse that we had last year has surfaced once again. As noted, Finn Balor did not work this week's WWE television tape because he is dealing with an illness. Balor worked a live event in Chile last week, but returned home the next day. He is still expected to face Drew McIntyre at TLC this Sunday. Alexa Bliss noted on Instagram story that she is sick as well. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter, Bliss has a bad cold and a weak voice. WWE had announced a press conference segment from this past Monday Night Raw. The skit was scheduled to feature Bliss taking fan questions regarding the Ronda Rousey vs. Nia Jax match at the TLC this Sunday. According to Meltzer, Bliss was scheduled to have a long promo on the show, which, quite honestly, I don't really care, and I'm so don't care about this entire segment that they did. I don't know why they even announced it if you knew she was going to be sick, which I'm pretty sure by the time Raw happened, they knew she was sick, so why would you even announce this? WWE announced the press conference and Choose had a long promo of the show, however the segment was changed to not have her speak. Jax ended up carrying the segment, which, yay! And this left before the interaction between Jax and Rousey started. It was also noted that Bobby Roode was ill as well and had trouble speaking during this promo. Yeah, so this sucks for WWE. This is something that happened last year for TLC in October of last year when you had Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, and JoJo come down with illnesses. It scrapped 2 matches. Oh, it didn't scrap 2 matches. It scrapped 1 match, which ended up giving us Finn Balor versus AJ Styles, and Kurt Angle, who looked ridiculous in the Shield garb, came out to wrestle. Or came out of retirement, or semi-retirement, to wrestle a match at TLC, which threw away Kurt Angle's big in-ring return. Then I called it the TLC curse because this is 2 years in a row that illness has struck WWE for the TLC pay-per-view. Hope Finn Balor, Alexa Bliss, and Bobby Roode, and anyone else ill gets better because nobody needs to be missing time for that. Anybody who thinks that Becky Lynch is getting cold, you are out of your damn mind because WWE is working on a documentary that's, I guess, is supposed to air today or tomorrow. I guess it's going to be WWE Chronicle. There's no knowing yet when the documentary will premiere, even though I guess it is going to be happening before TLC, which has to be today. It will be a WWE Network special, and it's probably going to be a chronicle. The Wrestle News newsletter reports that cameras have been rolling for Becky Lynch's recent appearance in Ariel Helwani's MMA show. Helwani asked Lynch about how she got the nickname of the man, and she revealed that author Paul O'Brien came up with it. The man, she said, so I throw a lot of stuff around. I have a friend back home, and we throw a lot of stuff around, and we often talk about mindsets, right? And about confidence, and about being the man. So my friend Paul O'Brien, we always would talk back and forth. He would say, the man, I would say, I am the man. So I started to believe that I am the man, and so I started to throw that out there. Lynch said, no, everybody knows I am the man. Well, there you go. Anybody want to know where she got the man from? She got it from her friend Paul O'Brien. I have no idea who that is. If you do, let me know in the comment section below. Now, the Becky Lynch documentary, I haven't seen it yet. The Dean Ambrose Chronicle I heard was fantastic. It's better than anything we've seen from him as a heel so far in the end of that, because it did chronicle from about a week or 2 before his return until I think a week or so before the Survivor Series pay-per-view. So that got his heel turn, the Roman Reigns leukemia announcement, and a couple episodes after that. This one, I have to talk about this one, but Seth Rollins and Jimmy Jacobs defend WWE Creative. WWE Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins and former WWE writer Jimmy Jacobs took to Twitter this week and commented on a tweet that said Monday Night Raw's record low Raw viewership was embarrassing, which, yes, it is. The original tweet was made by Brian Alvarez because everyone sees. So that is F4WOnline.com referring to the 2.194 million views that Monday Night Raw's TLC go-home show edition of Raw drew. This is the lowest viewership in history of the show. As noted, this week SmackDown did 1.977 million views, the second lowest SmackDown audience for a first-run non-holiday episode. Indie veteran, which, quite honestly, SmackDown has been better than Raw for the last 6 or 7 months. There is absolutely no reason outside of fans alienating and not wanting to watch SmackDown after Raw that SmackDown should not have gotten more than a 2.194 rating. Plain and simple. SmackDown has seen bigger ratings than that. SmackDown's biggest problem is Monday Night Raw. Plain and simple. Well, Jacobs wrote, writing a 3-hour wrestling TV show every single week is fucking hard. Rollins wrote, that's the one thing I don't think people understand. 5 hours of live TV every week, in capital letters. Adding in all the extraneous variables that affect the final outcome, and it's a modern miracle that the shows come together as well as they do. Oh, really? That's why from, not this week, but 2 weeks, like last week and the week before that, we have been told, and we have proof, that Vince McMahon wrote Raw from start to finish by himself. By himself. So you're going to tell me that writing a 3-hour show is fucking hard? Yes, it probably is hard for an average person like me, and others, but yeah, Vince McMahon has gone out and grabbed the entire sheet for Monday Night Raw and scrambled it out and rewrote the entire Raw himself for 2 weeks in a row. So, it's fucking hard? Bullshit. This is also coming from Jimmy Jacobs, who came out on an indie event and bashed WWE writers, creators, and everything else about saying how for the last 2 years I was writing promos for guys who couldn't hold my microphone. Yet now you're defending WWE Creative. Really? You can't have it both ways. You're going to either bash them or you're going to you're going to kiss their ass. Jacobs responded to a fan's input. As the fans said, people like to bitch and act like they could do better. However, I'm sure if they were given a chance to show how easy it is, they'd have no clue where to start. I could give a couple, for like I said, average people like me, yes, I can understand that, but there are some people out there, I'm sure, who could probably write Raw better than this. Jacobs responded to this with, everybody's allowed to their opinion. I take zero offense to it, but one of the first things I learned writing is that it's easy to point out the problems, the job's to come up with solutions. You don't say, Jimmy. Then explain to me why Monday Night Raw opened with Seth Rollins pointing out every single thing wrong with Monday Night Raw, but offering no solutions. Huh? Yeah. So, yeah, Monday Night Raw started off, and we already talked about this, Monday Night Raw started off with nothing but Seth Rollins coming out, pointing out every fucking thing that was wrong with Monday Night Raw, minus him not saying that 3 hours of Raw is fucking bullshit. But no solution. So, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, come on, Jimmy, are you fucking kidding me? Then another fan said that maybe the show shouldn't be 3 hours long. This is the common response I've gotten. While as fans, I agree, the bottom line says differently. WWE gets paid way more to have 3 hours of Raw than 2 hours, which, it sucks, that's the truth. That seems to be off the table. Yes, but the product sucks, and the product is going to go down, 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 down. Why do you think people can stomach Smackdown? I literally sit here watching Smackdown. On most weeks, there are a couple weeks here and there where it's like, is this show over yet? But I look at my clock and I'm like, wow, there's only 20 minutes left? Wow, that's crazy. Monday Night Raw, every single week, it's like, there's still 2 hours left, there's still 2.5 hours left, there's still 2 hours left. When's this show gonna end? When's this show gonna end? This show sucks. We might get a gem every once in a while, as like Finn Balor versus Braun Strowman's first match against each other a couple months ago. Seth Rollins losing the Intercontinental title to Dolph Ziggler a couple months ago in a good match. Yeah, Jimmy, okay. Yeah, but you sit there and say fans like to point out, you like to say that you learned one thing was like fans pointing out that all the problems but not coming up with solutions. I don't know what the solutions are, but there have been many fans who have said this, who are much smarter than I am, who have come up with easy solutions that would make Raw better. Yes, 2 hours would be better, but we have to kind of throw that away. WWE's not going to take that one off the table anytime soon. It just feels like Jimmy Jacobs is sitting there trying to curry favor with WWE again so he could be rehired, because he is working with Impact Wrestling, and obviously those checks aren't as big as they used to be. Moving on here, I hope everyone's excited about this one. The chairman is back, and I'm not talking about Parker, as someone put in their nice little notes. WWE had announced that Vince McMahon will be making a rare appearance on Monday Night Raw next week. Details are currently scarce, but it shouldn't be surprised to see him address the GM fallout from TLC this weekend. Vince McMahon, WWE tweeted, breaking this Monday, Vince McMahon returns to shake things up. Oh my god. Unless we're getting a second superstar shakeup this year, why? Why is Vince coming on? I'm not surprised I'm surprised it isn't Stephanie, since Stephanie's commissioner. Maybe Vince McMahon himself is going to take blame. Maybe this is me with wishful thinking. Maybe Vince McMahon will come and say, yes, the show sucked because it's my fault. I am a terrible person. I am a terrible. I need to take the pen away, and I'm retiring. I doubt that, but we can only hope. We can only hope and pray that Vince McMahon is coming to retire. Like say, goodbye to the WWE universe. I'm going to go work with the XFL. I'm going to try and get my XFL off the ground, and on the subject to the XFL, I was watching, like, there's stuff on YouTube, and, like, I have XFL stuff come through my YouTube all the time because I looked it up one time just to see a couple things. There was a radio host from Seattle who put on, this clip of, like, can the XFL succeed? This dumb motherfucker sits there and talks about how he noticed what they did back in 2001 and says, that's what they did then. That's what they're going to do now. They're going to be violent. They're going to be sexy. They're going to have sex appeal. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. I'm like, did you read? Have you watched anything Oliver Luck has talked about? Have you read anything or heard anything that Vince McMahon has talked about? How the game is going to be different this time? They're not. I honestly don't think cheerleaders. I honestly think cheerleaders don't need to be in like a cheerleader like section. To me, and this is just me. I'm a guy. I like women, but it's like, I just think the position of a cheerleader has come and gone. It's not something that they need to worry about. But he's like, oh, Oliver, just because this was a couple weeks, it was like on December 6th or something, like, oh, Oliver just saw his son take a huge hit from a Bengal. Now he's going to try and bring violence back to the game. I'm like, first off, motherfucker, have you ever, sat there, listened to anything that this version of the XFL has said, how they're going to, and by the way, there are videos on YouTube. There are videos on YouTube of their committee talking about, from their practices that they did, talking about how they're going to do the game differently than they did in 2001. If you did your fucking research instead of making stupid shit up to have your crappy audience listen to your crappy ass show, maybe you would have a bigger audience, you dumb fuck. Oh my god, I can't believe that was the worst thing I think I've ever heard. Moving back over here, I just had to throw that out there. So yeah, Vince McMahon returns to Monday Night Raw. This, before we move on to the next thing, which is something that I honestly am going to want to get into. This is how desperate WWE gets. Whenever the ratings drop too fucking low, Vince McMahon is thrown out there to try and push the ratings back up. Unless Vince McMahon is running around firing people left and right, or running the show for the entire episode, and you're going to see him the entire freaking episode, it's not going to help. As soon as Vince McMahon leaves and you don't see him the rest of the night, those ratings are going to just drop and drop and drop. And they're going to be like, well, Vince McMahon was out there and that didn't work, so what can we do now? This is the panic button for WWE. This is absolutely the panic button for WWE. The ratings are slipping way too much. And there are people out there like, oh, but the ratings don't matter. The ratings don't matter. Right now they don't. When we get the Fox next year, they'll matter. They will definitely matter. I live in Ohio, southeast Ohio. And we have Fox 8 for Sinclair Broadcasting, and we have WTOV8 or WTOV9 Fox. And when Fox gets those ratings of when Fox gets the ratings, and this is the thing, if WWE comes to SmackDown, brings SmackDown to Fox, and their ratings are in the 1.977 ratings, they will be canceled like that. They will be canceled like that. Fox will not put up with that. USA doesn't have to worry about ratings. USA just comes on. As long as you get that ad revenue, USA doesn't matter. WWE has kept the lights on at the USA Network. Which makes it funny how they wanted to get rid of SmackDown, even though SmackDown helps bring in money for them. But Fox has canceled shows who make better ratings than that. 1.977. WWE is going to have to get their shit together. There's one problem. WWE has been so bad that I don't think they can get the ratings up that good. They would have to have Triple H take over, have the NXT mentality from start to finish, You'd have to have great wrestling, no comedy, because Fox doesn't want comedy one bit. This is going to be something that Vince McMahon, you're not going to be able to have like the ratings hit 1.977 and have Vince McMahon pop up on SmackDown the next week and expect to have a 3.45. It's not going to happen. They expect better than this. I honestly don't know why Fox took this deal. I don't know why Fox even gave them this deal. These ratings are going to be abysmal up until we get to October. Do you really think, yes, with Fox, because if you don't have to buy a cable package to watch Fox. You can grab a digital set of rabbit ears, one of the ones from the local dollar store. Hook it up to your TV, have it in a window right, hit the dial a little bit, scan for channels, and there you go. You have Fox. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter to Raw, but SmackDown's going to have those ratings. And yes, it's going to be easier for them, but I just don't think it's going to matter. Vince McMahon is stubborn. Vince McMahon likes comedy and wrestling. Fox doesn't want comedy. When we have Thanksgiving feast fights or the what is it? The Miracle on 34th Street fight or something like that, then like Fox will call up WWE and is like, get this off my TV or we're going to cancel this deal. And I really, really hope that they got a clause in this deal that says, if WWE brings any type of this stupid-ass comedy to SmackDown, we get to cancel this deal. These ratings are not, ratings don't matter now, but WWE is going to learn real quick that if the ratings are not to Fox's standards, SmackDown will be canceled in no time. So yes, Vince McMahon returning to Monday Night Raw is a desperation move. And to anybody who says the ratings don't matter, why is Vince McMahon on TV? Why isn't Stephanie the one coming in to talk about the GM role? Why is it Vince? That's the only reason he's coming in, is because they need to bring the ratings up a little bit. And it's not going to matter. If Vince McMahon opens the show, do they really think the ratings for the third hour, which are so close to going under 2 million, going below 2.4 million, or 2.4, 2.0, they're so close. Do you really think if Vince opens that show, that by the time we get to the end of that show, that the ratings for the third hour are going to be any better? No, not at all. Which wouldn't surprise me if they wait till Vince McMahon comes out at the end of the show. We'll have to wait and see on Monday Night Raw. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. This one got me interesting, though. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE is interested in signing Ring of Honor wrestler Dalton Castle. Castle was reportedly offered a deal for WWE in 2017 after his Ring of Honor contract expired, but ultimately chose to stay in Ring of Honor, his home since 2013. Castle has had a great deal of success with Ring of Honor as a former Ring of Honor champion, while former amateur wrestler, as well as a former six-man tag team champion, while the former amateur wrestler is a superb in-ring performer. He is also well known for the portrayal of his flamboyant character, which arguably increases his television value exponentially, in turn his appeal to WWE. The biggest problem with Dalton Castle is that they already have a flamboyant character in NXT. His name is the Velveteen Dream. I know WWE wants to try and sign everybody under the sun who they can just to have him in NXT so they go nowhere else. But you already have a flamboyant character in the Velveteen Dream. Dalton Castle, I think, would just get lost in the shuffle. I honestly think Dalton Castle's character people would think that people who don't know what Ring of Honor is, because there are a lot of people out there who just don't watch Ring of Honor. I've seen a little bit because my TV blew up on me and I can't watch Ring of Honor right now, but that's not the case. But this character, I think a lot of people who just watch Raw, SmackDown, or NXT will start pulling him as a Velveteen Dream ripoff or something else. Maybe that. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Dalton Castle could do, but I don't think that NXT really doesn't need anybody else right now. You already have the Undisputed Era. You have Ricochet. You have Velveteen Dream, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Aleister Black, who's probably going to be called up soon. You have Matt Riddle, Keith Lee. Punishment Martinez made his debut last week. You have so much talent. Like Chelsea Green just got signed a couple months ago, and has yet to make her debut. There's so much talent in NXT. They don't need it right now. If WWE would put a hiring freeze on hiring people from the independents, let their guys go through NXT, get up to the main roster that they could, and when it's like, oh, NXT, because NXT has only been felt depleted when Shinsuke Nakamura was on top as the NXT champion, when they had that first draft in 2016, and Finn Balor, Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, Nia Jax, who still shouldn't have come up at that time, and many others were brought up. NXT felt depleted then, just because WWE wasn't on this hiring sale, hiring as much as they are right now. This hiring craze. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. So it would be interesting to see Dalton Castle in WWE, but I think that with how much talent is in NXT, and the fact that there's more coming in as we speak, it's just not the right time, and he'd probably be better off to stay in Ring of Honor. That's up to him, though. If he wants to come to NXT, more power to him. Speaking of NXT and NXT UK, there are some releases. Well, at least 2 from NXT and possibly 1 from the UK. And this one kind of shocks me, but doesn't really. NXT superstar Nick Miller has reportedly been released from the company, according to Pro Wrestling Sheet and Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The door is said to be open for Miller to return to the company if he wants. He recently returned to Australia when his baby was born and decided to stay, according to Meltzer. Miller's tag team partner Shane Thorne is still under contract with WWE. The Mighty just wrestled on TV this week, losing to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. They both signed with WWE in 2016, but never held the NXT tag team titles. And Thorne spent almost a year out of action with an injury, returning to the ring in September of last year. Tashan Dong has also been released from his WWE development deal. Meltzer noted that he was actually released some time ago. Dong was a 7-foot-tall boxer from China who was undefeated. Dong was signed in the past summer after working in October 2017 Performance Center tryouts. Now, there's a rumor that the NXT UK superstar Tucker has also been released because his profile was removed from the WWE website, but his departure has not been confirmed. Tucker, a veteran of the UK indie scene, participated in both the WWE UK title tournaments and lost his first round to Tyler Bate in 2017 and to Joe Coffey in the first round of the 2018 tournament. He has been used in the NXT UK brand mostly as a jobber to the stars. So, first off, the Mighty, Shane Thorne and Nick Miller, they had appeal. They had somewhat of a character and stuff and appeal when they were TM61 and they were babyfaces and they came in. They had that awesome shark cage match against the Authors of Pain for the Dusty Cup 2 years ago, which I believe is when Shane Thorne tore his ACL. So they left. Shane Thorne got injured. They went off to let him get healed. They came back. They were baby faces for a bit. People forgot about them because they weren't on TV. And then they turned heel. They stopped being TM61. They called themselves the Mighty because back in the Indies they were the Mighty Don't Kneel. And they just seemed to lose whatever appeal they had, and they just had nothing. They just felt like when they became heels and they came back, they had nothing. So it would not surprise me them both being gone eventually. I could see Shane Thorne leaving as well. I don't see anything in him, but maybe he gets a character change. We'll have to wait and see. This was like when the Ely brothers, who were just jobbers, one got released. It looked like the other one was going to stay, but he eventually got released too. Maybe Shane Thorne goes off and he joins his buddy down joins Nick Miller in Australia, and we don't see the Mighty anymore. Or this could be a Connor thing, because when Connor was in NXT, this is pre NXT on the WWE Network. This was the Ascension, as you know them now, were not the Ascension back when there was other people in the Ascension. I believe Bram was one of them. There were 3 people in the Ascension. There was Connor O'Brien, which is Connor now. There was 2 other characters, a tag team partner, and a female. The female and the tag team partner got released for one reason or another. So instead of just scrapping the name it was, instead of just Conor O'Brien, it was the Ascension Conor O'Brien. That was his name, was the Ascension Conor O'Brien. Now, since Nick Miller is gone and Shane Thorne, if he's still here, maybe he goes, and instead of just being called the Mighty, he could be called the Mighty Shane Thorne. That could just be bleeding into his character. We can see not Shane Thorne, but the Mighty Shane Thorne, and it's just, we'll see where they go with that. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of Nick Miller being released. Tucker, I honestly, I just figured he was one of those guys who was on the lower tier of the NXT UK guys. He was the jobber, like in the jobber section, so he wasn't going to be around very long. A lot of controversy has been going on lately with the fact that Natalia's father has been used in storyline for Ruby Riott. In the table segment, the segment where Ruby Riott had Jim Neidhart's picture on a table on WWE's YouTube page, has a lot of negative comments and a lot of dislikes. Natalya opens up about her father's passing and using his death in storylines. Natalya Neidhart is one of the proud women's wrestlers. Currently, she is embroiled in a vicious feud with Ruby Riott over a very sensitive subject. The passing of Natalya's father, Natalya's dad, was Jim the Anvil Neidhart, a former WWE Tag Team Champion and surefire Hall of Famer. I'm sure he's going in this year. Recently, Natty spoke to Yahoo about the sensitivity of the subject and how her father would feel about it. Below the highlights. Natalya on her father's passing being a storyline, she says, and I quote, "A lot of people have asked me, girls that I work with backstage, other superstars, people at home, if I'm okay with this storyline and how do I feel about it," Neidhart told Yahoo Sports. "For me, it is what it is going on in my life. This is the elephant in the room." And she also said, and that's all she said really, I mean, it is what it is, it's the elephant in the room. That's such a political answer. What her father would say about this storyline. Dad was a professional wrestler, Neidhart said. He was a WWE superstar. He was a legend before he passed away, and I feel like in some crazy way, this is like my dad having one last run. I feel like if I asked my dad right now, "Daddy, how do you feel about me doing this storyline?" my dad would say, "Go for it." He understood pro wrestling. He understood how for fans to become emotionally invested in stories, there has to be emotionally charged content. Now, I'm not a big guy, like, if the family knows about it, then more power to them. If they can do it right and do it in a tasteful way, not Randy Orton telling Rey Mysterio that Eddie Guerrero's in hell line, that was kind of over the line. But they really haven't crossed that line to where it's like, oh, why are they doing this? If you go to the video that they done, the video that they put up this past Monday of that segment, and you see people disliking it and putting comments where they say this is distasteful, why are you using dead people? WWE is doing their job. If Ruby Riott is getting heat for this, they're doing their job. It's not that hard to understand. Like when Dean Ambrose turned on Seth Rollins in the same night that Roman Reigns came out and told us about his leukemia. They did it. And people hated that. They were doing their job. It's a way to make you feel emotionally invested and say, "Hey, I don't like Ruby Riott because she's sitting here, she's bashing a Hall of Famer, and she's making." The only thing I don't like about this feud is the fact that Natalya's BS alligator tears. It's just not believable whatsoever. The fact that she's sitting there and she's like, "With a tear in my eye, I'm going to dedicate this match to my dad." Or how this entire feud started, I don't care what they say. This entire feud is over a pair of broken sunglasses, and that is it. I just lost the top of my pen. Okay. Yeah, but that is all this is about. The fact that she broke a pair of sunglasses. Is the hate warranted? Yeah. It is 2018. People gotta be this sensitive. Trust me, somebody passed away, and if somebody would have passed away in the 80s or the 70s or the early 90s, their death would probably be used in storyline if it made sense. This is just a way to get Ruby Riott and Natalya on the pay-per-view card, and that just makes sense. This, again, as we know, the reason that we will not see Natalya turn heel is because of this very reason. But I want to know from you guys, what are your thoughts on the death of Jim the Anvil Neidhart's death being used in storyline? Are you okay with it? Are you not okay with it? Let me know. Moving on here, we have WrestleMania 35 rumored plans as we are on the road to WrestleMania. With TLC coming up on Sunday, we're basically on the road to WrestleMania, and that means it's WrestleMania 35 rumor time. Joe Pesci, Giancarlo Arlino, and Steve Carney's Bar Murder podcast, No Holds Barred, recently delivered some interesting tidbits from the inside source. According to Pesci, I'm just going to say Pesci, I don't care if it's his name or not, via Ringside News, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton is currently in the cards for the grandest stage of them all, which I'm guessing would have the dynamic of seeing if these Southern boys with their farmer strength was man enough to feel the pain caused by the recent super sadistic Viper. Triple H is also expected to wrestle a big match against an unknown opponent. I don't see that happening because Triple H is injured with a torn rotator cuff or torn bicep. He's not wrestling at WrestleMania, and if he wrestles at WrestleMania, he is a fool. Now, we'll get to some more in here in a second, but Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. Only seen once, 2 years ago, or last year. Yeah, last year, before we got to WrestleMania, to see who would face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. As long as it's done right, I honestly think AJ Styles is the only person right now, because he's already gone through Jeff Hardy, he's going through Rey Mysterio TLC. I already put that on my predictions. Go check that out on the channel. AJ Styles is the only other person as a babyface that I could see him doing. Maybe we get the New Day being dissected by Randy Orton. Maybe Randy Orton goes after Big E or Kofi Kingston or Xavier Woods and dismantles the New Day one by one for the next few pay-per-views, and then we get to the Elimination Chamber. Both of them in the Elimination Chamber. Randy gets eliminated by AJ Styles, and then AJ Styles is looking to maybe try and win, and then Randy Orton with an RKO out of nowhere, and that leads to, or Randy Orton does what heels would do, and ends up beating the holy piss out of AJ Styles, setting up for a match at WrestleMania. The plans for the United States Championship match are still vague but sound promising. I spoke with a few sources as well, and right now Rey Mysterio is being penciled in for a United States title match, but they're still working on who's going to into WrestleMania with the title. 3 names being discussed: Shinsuke Nakamura holding until he to face Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, or Andrade Cien Almas. I'm hearing too that 2 of the 3 names of whoever doesn't walk into WrestleMania with the United States title, they will be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, so there's going to be plenty of star power in the match. Mysterio and Nakamura wrestled the Lucha Libre Icons' first match back in WWE and had a little showdown at Starrcade, so it's easy to imagine them going in a program together with the match Almas and Mysterio already had on SmackDown. The idea of an extended feud between them is exciting for an in-ring perspective as well, and of course Joe would provide that good versus evil, little versus big guy dynamic often associated with Rey Mysterio. It'll be interesting to see which of these directions the SmackDown men's big card goes on WrestleMania approaches. Could you imagine Shinsuke Nakamura, winner of the Royal Rumble last year, WWE Championship match at WrestleMania? Let's fast forward 1 year. In the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on the pre-show, how far his stock would fall if he's not the United States Champion going into WrestleMania. Wow. Samoa Joe, first WrestleMania appearance on the pre-show in the Battle Royal. Wow. Here's an idea. Why don't you just put all 4 in the United States Championship match? Almas, Joe, Nakamura, and Rey Mysterio in a fatal 4-way ladder match, or a fatal 4-way in which you get all 4 guys time to do what they want. Yes, there are 3 heels to 1 babyface. But Samoa Joe would make that Samoa Joe would be like a tweener in that match because, Almas and everyone would start beating on Rey Mysterio. This would be the ultimate underdog story for Rey Mysterio. Almas, Nakamura, and Joe beating him up. Then, of course, Almas, Joe's beating down on Rey Mysterio. Almas pushes him away and wants to beat down on him some more. and Joe's like, don't touch me, don't touch me. Him and Joe almost start shoving, and then Joe levels him. And there you go. You have yourself a little brawl between everybody, and then Rey Mysterio somehow picks up the win, or almost picks up the win. Those 4 guys, fatal 4-way, there you go. Like, almost in the Battle Royal would not be a problem because he's still a relatively new guy to the main roster, but Samoa Joe's first WrestleMania, even though he's missed the last 2 due to injury, which sucks, and Nakamura 1 year removed from wrestling for the WWE Championship in the Andre Battle Royal. Oh my God, how far he has fallen. God, that would be awful. Absolutely awful. So, yes, instead of giving us a one-on-one match for the United States Championship, you had a fatal 4-way last year. Let's do it again. Joe, Almas, Nakamura, Rey Mysterio. Joe, like I said, would be the guy who is, like, all 4 guys would be, of course, beating down Rey Mysterio. Joe's beating down on Rey Mysterio, and then Almas comes over and pushes him out of the way, and then Joe ends up leveling him. And then Joe's like, you know what? I'm not friends with either of you two. I'm gonna beat you guys up. I'm gonna beat all 3 of you up, and then somehow, some way, either Rey Mysterio wins or almost sneaks out with it. Moving on here. Oh wait, before we get there, let me know in the comment section below what you think of Rey Mysterio versus all 4 guys or all 3 guys, and give us a fatal 4-way. Or would you want to see Rey Mysterio versus Joe, Rey Mysterio versus Almas, or Rey Mysterio versus Nakamura for the United States Championship? The reason I would say make it a fatal 4-way is simple. You're not gonna. How are you going? This is the thing, because how are you going to get the title off of Nakamura and put it on either Almas or Samoa Joe before WrestleMania? Which that beats the hell out of me. Just give him a fatal 4-way and make it that simple. You have plenty of guys in the back. You have all 3 members of Sanity, all members of the Good Brothers, the Good Brothers, the Colognes, and anybody else on there from SmackDown who isn't going to be in a main roster, a main pay-per-view match. These four guys, fatal 4-way, make it happen. If you want to add 2 more guys and make it a 6-pack challenge, I'm all for it. Put Jeff Hardy in there. And if AJ Styles is doing nothing, put AJ Styles in there. There you go, 6-pack challenge. I've just booked 1 match for you for WrestleMania. Update on Jason Jordan's injury. It's a little update here. Jason Jordan was in the middle of a huge upswing in his career. Then he was taken out of action and forced to undergo neck surgery, and the fact he hasn't returned to the ring isn't a good sign. It was said at the time that Jordan's neck surgery wouldn't keep him out of action for as long as some other procedures to the neck. However, Jason Jordan's services were moved to a backstage capacity a couple of months ago. He is now a producer for WWE instead, since he can't work the road because he has yet to be cleared after nearly a year out of action. PW Insider reports that Jason Jordan was in Birmingham, Alabama last week to get his neck evaluated once again by WWE doctors. At this time, there is no update on his potential medical clearance. Hopefully, Jason Jordan will be able to get back into the action soon enough. His injury happened at an awful time, as the original plan was for him to feud with his kayfabe father on the way to WrestleMania, with Jordan defeating his daddy in New Orleans to start a pretty big push for the former American Alpha member. Yeah, it sucks for him. And the backup plan was going to be, because if Kurt Angle was going to go be Ronda Rousey's partner, it was going to be Seth Rollins versus Jason Jordan. Neither one of those happened because Jason Jordan was injured. I never want to see a career end prematurely just because of a neck injury, but health and safety comes first. If doctors for Jason Jordan don't think he can wrestle again, then he's not going to wrestle again. If Jason Jordan somehow makes it, if Jason Jordan makes a quote-unquote surprise appearance in the Royal Rumble, then that'll be great for him too. We'll just have to wait and see. Time will tell. But Jason Jordan not back anytime soon, and I hope everything for Jason Jordan works out in the end. And finally, guys, we're going to finish here with a little update of what's going on for WWE for the rest of the year, because there are only 3 episodes of Raw left in SmackDown, right? 2, 3? What is it? It's 3, right? No, 2. Yeah, 3. There's 3 episodes of Raw for this year and 2 episodes of SmackDown. As Mark noted, WWE will be taping 2 episodes of Raw this Monday, with the second episode airing on Christmas Eve. They also taped 2 episodes of SmackDown on Tuesday, with the second airing on Christmas Day. The following week's episodes shows won't be live either. The New Year's Eve episodes of Raw will be taped on Friday, December 28th, and the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. The New Year's Day episode of SmackDown will be taped on Saturday, December 29th in Pittsburgh. So, well, I think we're going to be taking a sabbatical for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. Maybe. I usually don't read spoilers to things for Raw and for NXT because NXT is so exciting, but SmackDown and Raw may make an exception. And if SmackDown and Raw are trash, which most likely they will, I'm sure we're going to get a Miracle on 37th Street fight or whatever the hell they call it, and a Jingle All the Way, whatever type of match on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then whatever and a New Year's baby ball, a ball drop bonanza or something on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and it's like, I might just have to skip both Raw and SmackDown those 2 weeks because they're probably not going to matter, and we'll figure out something we'll figure out what we will do from there. But let me know in the comment section below, do you want to see, next week, the Monday and Tuesday this week are live, so I'm going to definitely be on here for those, but I don't know exactly about the next one. But let me know in the comment section below what you think I should do, because quite honestly, if anything, I might do best and worst matches of the year, best and worst events of the year, best and worst surprises of the year, or whatever, in their places. Let me know in the comment section below what you want to see, and I'll make it happen. NXT, of course, will be business as usual when it comes to reviews, because they have a cage match coming up this week. They have tag team title opportunities coming up the week after. And I don't know what's going on in the day after New Year's Day, so we'll have to wait and see. But that is going to be all for Unscripted. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at TheFrance. Find me on twitch.tv/TheFrance08. I will see you guys tomorrow for TLC review. Until then, my name is TheFrance. Make sure to